The three misalignments of trauma. There was one particular time I was driving on my way to work. This was many years ago. And it was kind of like a newer job. I was working as a contractor, but the person I was contracting for, it was like a new relationship, and I didn't want the relationship to be ruined. And sure enough, I had left on time, but I was still going to be late for work because a car on my block started pulling out of their driveway and they were backing out as I was coming down the road. And they didn't stop, they kept backing out. And so I swerved to avoid them and smacked into the curb, which is just the wheel, the side of the wheel smacking into the curb. But after doing that, the car couldn't drive correctly. It had been thrown out of alignment by the impact. And so I had to get out of that car and I had to take off running. This was just before Uber and Lyft existed. So I had to figure out a way to get down there. I don't even remember. Oh, I ran home and got my other car, basically, um, because I was only down the block. But uh, once your wheel gets impacted like that, it throws off the alignment so much that the car actually can't operate. And the same is with us when we go through a trauma, it impacts us and it can be so serious, so extreme that it'll throw us off so that we can't operate correctly anymore. And that is a misalignment when we are thrown off or our alignment is thrown off as a result of trauma. So, an example of this can be if you were assaulted by someone like I was one time, and there was a specific ethnicity in a way that this person looked, so that whenever I would see someone of that ethnicity, of the way that person looked, I would be, it would trigger the nervous system, right? So I would start to feel a certain nervousness, a certain fear, even though that person is far away from me, I'm not in any danger. It's just that they looked similar, right? Their ethnicity was similar, the way they dressed, the way they looked was similar. So it reminded me of that person who assaulted me and it triggered my nervous system. And so in order to get out of that, I had to realign my nervous system by exposing myself to that trigger so that I could calm down and realize every person that looks like this is not actually a danger to me. So we're going to talk about the ways that you may be misaligned as a result of the trauma that you experienced in your life. Um, there's three misalignments, and they're so deep. They're mental, they're emotional, and they're even spiritual. The three misalignments are I make the rules. That's misalignment number one. Misalignment number two is nothing in moderation. And misalignment number three is all is bad. And I'm going to explain to you what these misalignments are so you can identify for yourself if you notice any misalignment in yourself in the way that you've been processing or dealing with your trauma and what you've been through. And this is essential in order for us to heal, is to get rid of these misalignments, these distorted ways of thinking and interacting with the outside world. This first misalignment, I make the rules, is where you start decreeing and judging as if you are the sovereign of the universe and you decide how everything works. Now, that might seem crazy, like you've never done this, but most of us have actually done this before. An example is blaming. If you've ever blamed someone for something when they're not necessarily fully 100% to blame, or you've ever blamed yourself when you're not 100% fully to blame, that would be an example of a misalignment, a decree, and a judgment, you making the rules and decreeing or judging who is guilty and who is not. So, a lot of times when we go through something, we feel like we need to be able to blame someone. We need to be able to say, oh, see, I got in this car accident because you were talking to me. That's blaming. Or, oh man, the team lost because of me. That's self blame. So whether we're self-blaming or we're blaming someone else, it's misaligned because that's not actually how the universe works. The universe is actually made up of lots of components. There's nuance to every situation. So the reality of whatever you're going through, whatever you're experiencing is there are lots of things that add into it. It's not all just one thing. So you can't just blame someone for what's happening in your life. I tell this story. It's a retell of Brene Brown's story when she spilled coffee on her nice white rug, and then she blamed her husband. Remember, it was her that spilled the coffee, but she blamed her husband because this was her second cup of coffee, and she wouldn't have needed two cups of coffee if he wouldn't have come home so late. And he came home late, and she had to stay up because you understand. So she blamed him for the coffee that she spilled. This would be an example of blaming where it's distorted. It's not really one person's fault. There are a lot of factors that went into why something happened. Another example of this where we'll be guilty of decreeing and judging is in fairness and rewards, which is where we say, oh, I should be rewarded for the good things I do. So with your friends, you're feeling like because you've been good to them, they're supposed to be good to you. With your kids, you're feeling like because you raised them and did good for them, they're supposed to be good to you. And so you get very upset and thrown off balance when you're not getting a return on your investment. It doesn't sound like that would be such an evil thing to do, but it's a misalignment with the way the universe actually works. The reality of the universe is that you can go and do good, and it doesn't mean that you will be returned exactly for the good that you've done in proportion to how you've done it right here, right now in this lifetime. And so we have to acknowledge that that's the universe that we actually live in right now. Everyone is not getting instant karma and instant rewards for everything they do and what they deserve. So sometimes we're experiencing suffering that we don't deserve, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And you deserve better, and you're not being treated the way you deserve. And sometimes that's just reality. And so when we think that it should go well, I shouldn't get dumped because I was a good boyfriend, that's not the way it works. That's not reality. So it's a misalignment. Another example of a misalignment like this is emotional decrees. Um, this is where you say, well, I feel it, so it must be true. We say, hey, you're worthy. And you go, I don't feel worthy. Okay, well, you are. So just because you don't feel worthy, it doesn't mean it's true. And say, hey, you're beautiful. Oh, yeah, right. I feel ugly. Just because you feel ugly doesn't mean it's true. When you take your feelings and you say that that's the rules and that's the way the universe is, you're actually sitting in the seat of this big sovereign of the universe, but you're not the maker of the universe. You're just a guest here. You don't make the rules, but you got to follow them like the rest of us. And your feelings are not facts. It's a fact that you feel it, but feelings don't dictate what the facts of the universe are. So we got to get rid of emotional decrees. Another example is when we put ourselves in the should statements and we go, "Oh, I I'm 45 right now, so by now I should already be married. I'm 60, so by now I should already be healed. I'm 70, so I shouldn't be getting divorced right now. And we should. I'm 30, so I should be getting married right now. We just make up all these rules. It's like, where does it actually say that? Where does this rule actually come from? Dare I say you made it up? You're actually making up rules for your life that are not beneficial to you. They're just making you feel bad. So you just made a rule and then made yourself feel bad. So yeah, we got to stop shitting on ourselves. So that is a misalignment number one. I make the rules. It's called judgments and decrees. I make the rules, judgments and decrees. That's misalignment number one. Misalignment number two is nothing in moderation. This is out of alignment with the universe. The universe works best where everything is in moderation. For instance, many dietitians will tell you you can eat the food you like, just eat them in moderation. One comedian said his dietitian told him that he could have Oreos, but he needs to just have one serving. And he said, that's ridiculous. One serving is only two Oreos. Two Oreos is how many Oreos I eat on the way to my couch to eat Oreos. He says he feels like he was in moderation if he just eats a sleeve of Oreos. Well, that, he would be an example of nothing in moderation because that's not moderately eating Oreos. You don't take down a whole sleeve in a sitting, right? They're not a meal. So think about how you would treat a child. You say to the child, no, you're not going to sit there. Oreos are not a meal. You could have a couple, but then if you're hungry, then you need to eat some real food, right? So we want to get into moderation with everything. Moderation with everything. When you're misaligned, then you're extreme in everything. So you go into things like overgeneralization. Hmm, I don't trust Arabs because you see the problem here. I don't like Indians. I don't trust Asian people. I have a note in my inbox right now. It says, when I see a white person, I see a devil. Sirs and ma'ams, you guys are overgeneralizing. Every individual is unique. We cannot say because they are white or Asian or Indian or Arab, they just are bad because you had some bad experiences or you saw something bad. Treat each individual as a unique individual. Get to know that individual, and then you decide, oh, that individual is not safe for me. Not this race, right? Because when you examine it closer, aren't there people of even your own race that aren't safe? So then when you say, oh, I don't like those people over there, but then what's the safe race? There's not a safe race. People sell out their own countrymen, they sell out their own brothers and sisters, right? So we don't want to overgeneralize. That's extreme thinking. What we want to do instead is individualize and take every case on a case by case basis. So let's recalibrate. Okay, it's not all men. Every other TikTok I see, it's a woman who just had a bad experience, and she says, the thing about men is, and then she names her one bad experience that she had with 90% of men don't have any dates. So who are you talking about? You're not talking about all men. Most of these men don't even have a chance. You're talking about the one that had a chance with you, the one that you were with, your bad experience, right? Instead of the overgeneralization, we just take it one person at a time. Okay, this woman is not trustworthy. It doesn't mean that every woman is not trustworthy. That man was one of the bad ones. Cool. But let's just take it on a case by case basis. It's difficult, but we need to realign, right? Because it doesn't do our system, our soul any good to walk through life thinking that the enemy is one big monolith of people, an entire gender or an entire race. Let's cut that out. On the other hand, you have some people who do personalization. So they feel like they must be the problem. Oh, it's me. It's probably me. I'm the reason why our company went under. It's probably me. I'm the reason why that person looks upset right now, why my boss is mad. I'm the reason why my wife must be uh, mad at me right now. I'm the reason why. And in this way, we're back in the self-blame. Excuse me. We're back in the self-blame of personalizing, thinking that everything comes down to us. Everything doesn't come down to us. Everything doesn't have to do with us, right? The whole universe doesn't revolve around us. Everyone's having their own unique experience, their own unique feelings. If someone looks upset, don't just assume they're mad at you. You say, hey, I don't know why they're upset, but they'll let me know if they would like to talk. So anytime we're using this extreme language, like never, always, right? I never get chosen. I never win. I'm always the butt of the joke. I'm always left out. I always lose. That's extreme language. We want to get away from that, generally speaking. Not just in what we say, but in the way we think. In the way we think. Extreme language. Watch out for the nevers and the always, the extreme language, because that's not really, that's generalization, right? That's not really how the universe works. It's not never and always. It's normally, in most cases, sometimes, often, frequently. What I'm using are qualifiers. This helps your thinking to be higher quality when you use qualifiers. You say frequently, oftentimes, occasionally, sometimes. So notice the difference. Someone says, "You never help me with the chores." Ooh, very inflammatory, very accusatory. Instead, if they use qualifiers and they say, "Hey, I often notice that I'm the one who's doing the chores alone," that's different. Not as inflammatory because they didn't use the extreme speech, they used a qualifier. What they said is technically accurate, and you're less likely to get in an argument with them because they made it accurate. They qualified their statement. So use qualifiers to make sure what you're saying to yourself is accurate because extreme thoughts come or produce extreme emotions. Extreme thoughts and perceptions produce extreme emotions. If you qualify and you make the thoughts moderate, then you won't feel so extreme. Another extreme way of thinking is perfectionism. And I've been working a lot with clients on perfectionism lately. It's very simple. If you notice you have procrastination, first thing I'm going to ask you is, are you a perfectionist? It's the first thing I'm going to ask you. Because what happens with procrastination, the reason why we don't want to do it, the reason why we keep putting it off, the reason why we say maybe later and we barely ever get to it, is because we think that when we're going to do it, it has to be done to the highest degree. It's got to be amazing. It's got to be fantastic. It's got to be out of this world. It's going to be so, so good, so, so great. And when you have that way of approaching things, you don't want to do it. You don't want to start because it's going to require such an energy investment, such a mental investment from you that you just say, maybe later. Whew. Yeah, maybe later. It's going to be amazing when I do it, but I don't want to start doing that right now because it's going to take everything from you. So we want to moderate our thinking, moderation. Oh, you know what? I have this project that's due, but done is better than perfect. So I'm not going to do my best on it. I'm just going to hand in what's passing. Now it becomes less daunting. I would say, I'm not going to do the best on this report. I'm not going to clean my house so that it's perfect and make it spotless. I'm just going to do this one little thing. And now you can actually get started because you've let go of the perfectionism. That's extreme thinking. Go less extreme, go moderate. I'll do what I can. We'll dabble in it a little bit, see what we get done. Now you actually can get something done. Yeah. It's actually better to be a C and D student that gets your degree than to be an A plus student that crashes out on the third semester and drops out of school because of mental illness, because you pushed yourself too hard. What are all those straight A's gonna do for you when you never finished? Nothing. You can't go to a job and say, I never got the degree or the diploma, but boy, while I was doing it, I was getting straight A's. It's not going to do it for you. So that's the second misalignment. Nothing in moderation. It's extreme thinking. Nothing in moderation, extreme thinking. The third misalignment and final misalignment that we'll discuss is all is bad, which is negative filtering. All is bad. You can put that in quotations. Everything's bad. I look at everything in the bad, the negative, right? catastrophizing, jumping to conclusions, fortune telling, mind reading. Everything is bad. You see how it's a spiritual misalignment? Because, first of all, everything in the universe isn't always bad all the time. So that's one way that you're spiritually misaligned. Second, you're not God so as to decide that you can read people's minds, tell the future, see into how things are going to turn out, right? So there's a lot of different versions of this. Catastrophizing is where you always think it's the worst case scenario. We've talked about that, right? If you're a catastrophizer, you're always, oh, if I go, everyone's gonna hate me. Oh no, if I drive my car, I'm gonna get in an accident. If someone doesn't text me, they probably died or they probably are dumping me. It's always you think of the worst. You're always in the worst case scenario. Why? Because that's what you fear, and you figure that if you just focus on the thing that you fear, then you won't be fooled by it. But really, you're living in it psychically, and as a result, your physiology is being pelted with and drowned in cortisol, which is causing you bad adverse symptoms such as anxiety and depression, to name a few. Jumping to conclusions very similar to catastrophizing. It's just thinking that you know how it's going to go, but you always know that it's going to go wrong. It's not that you actually have a special gift of knowing the future. You're just, oh, if I apply to that job, I probably wouldn't be hired. If I reached out to that old friend, they probably wouldn't like me. If I try to talk to that girl, she'll probably reject me. You're just always jumping to a negative conclusion. This is the all is bad misalignment. We need to fix that. How? Well, with the catastrophizing and jumping to conclusions, you need to bring in some of the positive and neutral things that could be happening as well. Because you're just making up a story. You made up the negative story. You can also make up a positive version of the story. Hey, maybe they're fine. Maybe they're not texting because they're just busy. Their phone ran out of battery. They're just in the shower. They're just shaving right now. They're just sleeping right now. Hey, maybe it's all going to be okay. Maybe if I drive my car, I'll get to my destination. It's a neutral outcome. Maybe nothing will go wrong. If I talk to that girl, maybe she'll be kind to me. Maybe even I'll get her phone number. Let's bring in some of the positive things that could really happen. Maybe it could all turn out well. We don't have the ability to tell the future. So let's not try. Let's acknowledge number one, I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I don't know what's going to happen. And number two, maybe it will be okay. And why is it better to contemplate the maybe it will be okay rather than to contemplate the maybe it's all going to be bad? Because if you contemplate maybe it's all going to be bad, then you're psychically living in the worst. But if you contemplate that maybe it will all be okay, then you're psychically living in the best, which will then produce the chemicals, the hormones of being in the best. So instead of getting flooded with cortisol, you're getting serotonin, which is stabilizing, and oxytocin. So you feel good and you're not anxious and you're not depressed. See how that works? Simple. While we're at it, we don't have the ability to read people's minds. So we don't know that they probably think you're stupid and they probably think you're ugly and nobody here probably likes you and they probably did that on purpose and they probably did it intentionally and the reason they probably did that and I think what they did you don't know why people are doing what they did and why they do what they do. You don't know. So just say I don't know. I don't know what they're going to think of me. I don't know what they're going to feel about me. I don't know why you just did that. Right? You hear people get in the I know battles like, I know you know why I did that. Well, I know you know that I know that you know. Stop it. We don't know. We don't know. Just say, I don't know. Hey, no, I don't know. I don't know why you did that. You have to tell me. Tell me why. Communicate. Use your words. Don't just expect me to understand. And likewise, you use your words and ask people legitimate questions. Hey, I noticed that you didn't talk to me yesterday at the party. Just wondering if everything was okay. Oh, you know why I didn't talk to you. No, actually, I don't. Would you mind telling me or reminding me? This is how we have communication and actually get things done instead of all the assumptions. So let's acknowledge we don't have the gift of reading minds. That's a spiritual misalignment to think we do. We're just traumatized. We're trying to get out ahead of the bad thing. So let's assume the positive. Let's assume the best. If we're going to assume anything, let's assume everyone likes us. Everyone thinks we're beautiful, wonderful. They think we're funny. They love being around us. Why not tell yourself a good story so that you can actually get positive chemicals? Really, all that judgment that you think is happening out there is really just happening in here. Being self conscious is you being two other people conscious, but that's a waste, seeing how you can't read their mind. And in reality, they're not really thinking about you that much. You're not that important to them. You're living in the, oh, I can't, they probably, oh, geez, I can't, they don't remember you. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about their life. They're thinking right now, what am I going to eat? Ha ha ha, this video I'm watching is funny. Oh, what am I going to watch on television tonight? You understand? Then they're going to go to bed, then they're going to wake up in the morning, and then they're going to go to work, and they're going to live a whole life until they see you again. And maybe they'll be reminded again when they see you. Oh, like, oh, there's that one person. What is my last memory of that person? That's it. They're not thinking about you. You're not that important to them. So stop creating this world where everyone's judging and worried about you. They don't care. Some people actually do this exposure therapy. I've done this myself, where you go out and into the world and you do something that's flat out embarrassing just so you can see how much it doesn't actually change anything. You trip and you fall in front of everyone. Okay, so what? And how much do people care? They don't. They really don't care. Are you okay? Oh, okay. They're not thinking about it hours and days later. They don't care. It's not all about you. The world, the universe doesn't revolve around one person. The final one that I'll touch on is focusing on the void. This is a part of the all is bad negative filtering, and everyone I know has done this. So if I haven't touched you with one yet, I'm getting you here. Focusing on the infinite void of what you do not have and cannot control. The universe is made up of two different sections of things. Section number one is everything in the universe you don't have and don't control, which is most things. Even if you are a billionaire, you still don't even have most of the money that exists. You cannot have most things in the universe. It's impossible. You can't control most things in the universe. The other section of things that exist are the things that you do have and can control, which is a very small, finite amount of things, and that's all you need to worry about. If I could boil down mental health, I could put it right inside that little pocket. Focus just on what you have and what you control. That's it. Don't focus on anything else. So all the she was thinking and he thought and he that you can't control what they think, so don't focus on it. Well, I don't have, don't focus on that. Just what do you have? Oh, I just got this desk, this job, this microphone, this phone, this glass of water. Let me focus on what I have. And then you can then multiply what you actually have when you focus on what you have, what talents, what skills, what gifts, what you have. You focus on that, not everything else. What you control is very small. Most of what people worry about is what they can't control. I wonder if I'm going to get hired for the job. You can't control that. But I just wonder if they're going to select me. You can't control that. So don't focus on it. Oh, okay. Well, what should I focus on? What can you do? Uh, I can go to bed. It's pretty late. Yeah, then do that. That's what you should be focusing on. You can only focus on what you actually control. That's it. That's it. And you will feel so much relief from your anxiety as a result.